Squishies, back again with another vlog. This is Dirty Pair, episode 18. I cannot remember the title, and it is a commission for Bennett Jackson. Thanks for backing, Bennett. So this was a fun one. This was the most fun I've had watching Dirty Pair in a while. And I can't really place 100% why, except that basically it didn't do anything that ticked me off, and when it doesn't do things that tick me off, the basic Dirty Pair formula is a ton of fun. And the thing it made me realize is that even though it's comic and has this, very early 80s bright palette to it, I guess it's more mid-80s, but still, that kind of bright palette. Despite that, it still feels a little bit noir, in the sense that there's always... it's got that connection to the worlds of law enforcement and crime that's very common in noir. And on top of that, there's that betrayal aspect that happens a lot. There's a lot of double crosses. And in this case, it's the police doing it. Which, everybody acts all surprised that the police are part of a gang, but as near as I can tell, the police just are a gang that gets tax funding. So, I'm not sure why they'd be that surprised that the local gang boss is helping out another gang in exchange for whatever it is they're paying him. Corrupt police forces aren't exactly a surprise. I guess being as they are sort of something like police officers, Kay and Yuri are surprised in that respect, because they'd never do anything like that. But, mostly though, this is just an excuse for, riding around the city causing mayhem. Nothing quite up to the sublime nonsense of the Blues Brothers-esque pileup in that one episode with the, incredibly valuable cat. But, still really good stuff. Still a lot of fun. The relationship between them and BJ was just right. It's that, initial attraction, but then he's a jerk, and he just gets more and more annoying as it goes on, and they get more and more frustrated with him, which is kind of how their best boy of the week interactions go. Because what it showcases is, Kay and Yuri not being willing to put up with shit just for the boys. Yeah, they're they experience attraction. They like boys, men. It's an important factor in life for them. It's a motivator for them, especially Kay. But it doesn't mean that they're gonna be pushovers or wimps or anything like that. It just means, that initial attraction, and then when the guy turns out to be a jerk, well, screw him. And BJ is a jerk. He's, cowardly and grabby and, just all around not a great guy. I was amused by the scene in the bus where he, grabs them and pulls them towards himself, and they respond by doing something to his thighs. It looked like they were just putting a lot of pressure on them, but it was clearly painful for him. And, the whole bus staring. I particularly started laughing because there was one little boy that didn't look so much surprised or horrified as intrigued, and I just find it very funny to me that you know, 25 years from now, he's going to be on some, space BDSM site talking about, in hindsight, the experience as a kid that inspired the interest in his, thigh being crushed fetish. Though obviously some element of that interest was already there given his expression, so I don't know. Maybe he's been watching a lot of wrestling. Is mixed gender wrestling a thing? Like, I know there are male and female professional wrestlers, but I know that in, like, actual competitive wrestling, they separate into gender categories. At least the high school level, I assume at all levels. But since professional wrestling is more performance oriented, do they do, like, I don't know, mixed tag team or something? Somebody who's ever actually watched wrestling, let me know, because I never have. Yeah. I was really surprised when Ghoulie got shot. For a second I thought he was actually dead, and I was like, wow, did this show just kill off Ghoulie? Because that would be quite the departure from the status quo. And for a show this episodic, that's not something that'll happen a lot. But no, he's fine at the end, just needs to be rushed off to the hospital. And I'm glad we're back to Kei and Yuri's core competence, destroying buildings. Because that's really what this show is about. This show is about mayhem. Kei and Yuri are not the causes for it, but the magnets of it. They just get into trouble everywhere, always. I find it difficult to believe, though, that whatever trouble they get in for destroying the cop headquarters... Well, I was starting to say I find it difficult to believe that whatever trouble they get in for destroying the cop headquarters will not be balanced by exposing this corruption, but let's face it, that police chief guy is never actually going to get in any trouble. Between mob lawyers and, just the fact that cops never get in trouble. It's not going to happen. So I guess, yeah, they probably will get in some form of trouble. Because cops may not get in trouble, but space wrestler bounty cops might, I guess. It's weird to think of Kei and Yuri as, in any sense, cops. Because they really don't act like it. They act more like superheroes, really. They've got definitely a vigilante streak. Which is a very bad thing in a cop, but, this is fiction land, so it works for them. Trying to think of what else. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up is, the gangsters in blue suits, which I guess turned out to be cops. But that, blue double-breasted suit with the matching fedora is an outfit you see a lot in anime, and it usually indicates a Western-style gangster as opposed to, a Yakuza or something. But what it always makes me think of is, and it's actually the phrase that popped into my head the moment I saw one, wara wara wa soldats. There is this not very good anime called Noir that Came out in early 2000s, I think. We watched it at my college anime club. And now, while the anime is not very good, the soundtrack is amazing because it's Yuki Kajiura. And in fact, it's mostly noir and to a lesser extent dot hack that I'm referring to when I say that prior to Xenosaga, Yuki Kajiura was kind of cursed to constantly be involved in projects that were not worthy of the quality of music she delivered for them. But anyway, noir was eh. It wasn't bad, it was just eh. Like, there's no point in going back and looking for it. Really. But there was this, like, evil conspiracy of guys in blue suits. And there's a scene where one of them says, it's supposed to be like they're ominously declaring that they work for the conspiracy and saying, "We are soldats," which is the name of the conspiracy. But the combination of how the Japanese phrase sounds in English, like how the Japanese phrase sounds to an English ear, and the voice acting of the guy, and the fact that it was just, we'd already been kind of making fun of the generic army of dudes in blue suits, because they get slaughtered constantly in the show. We started making comparisons between that, like, blue suits are the red shirts of Japan. Actually, I think we were joking that they were the red shirts of Paris, or of France, because the show is set in France, mostly. But anyway, something about the way he said, "Ware, ware, wa, soldats," was just hilarious to us. And I think it wasn't just us, I think it actually became a minor meme, because later, there was a fan subgroup named Soldats, and they would put the phrase "Ware, ware, wa, soldats" in, like, the eye catches of the anime they fan subbed. But yes, all I can think of when I see those guys is, "Ware, ware, wa, soldats," which just is, to me, still funny to this day. So having them pop up in something that's A, almost 20 years older than the first place I saw them, and B, actually a comedy, was actually really fun. And it was just fun seeing, once again, the blue-suited gangsters getting gunned down. It was just almost nostalgic. But yeah, fun episode. Still loving this show, and this was a good reminder of, this wasn't a great episode, it wasn't a bad episode, but it was a Dirty Pair episode, and it had what I like about Dirty Pair in it. So yeah. Thanks again for backing, sorry, brain fart. Thanks again for backing Bennett, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!